Well, buckle up because June is expected to be a very intense month. We actually have several intense transits happening, and I expect that we're going to be seeing some sort of crisis emerge during the month of June. We have Saturn going retrograde this month. We also are basically feeling the effects of the Guru Chandel yoga that happened on May 27th that also is going to be flavoring the month of June. In this video, that's what we are going to discuss. We're going to really do a deep dive on what's happening in the month of June. For those of you that are new to my channel, make sure you like and subscribe so that you can get all of my updates and videos. I do celebrity charts, I do royal family charts, and I also do monthly predictions and also important transits. So make sure you check out that. For the month of June, if you're interested in a private reading, I'm also offering a discount of 40% off if you use codename Thor at checkout. Check for details down below, and you can discover your own chart for yourself by getting a reading. So let's go ahead and take a look at the chart for the month of June. Now, this is the chart of June 4th that we're looking at, but it really does give a lot of information about what's going to be happening in the month of June. Of course, disclaimer, this is astrology, entertainment purposes only. Get financial advice from a professional advisor if you're making any financial decisions. Okay, so what I really want to talk about and discuss in this video with June is the big thing that I think is flavoring the month is, remember, I made a video on it last week, about a week or two ago, and it was the Guru Chandel yoga, okay, that occurred on May 27th. Okay, and essentially that's when you have Jupiter and Rahu become conjoined in the same sign. Okay, so uh, as of June 4th, they're actually still going to be within the yoga because the yoga is essentially active, within 6 degrees apart. So even on June 4th, they're only about 3 degrees apart from each other. So the yoga is really active and flavoring the month of June. This is an intense yoga, especially considering it's in the sign of Aries. So basically, when this Guru Chandel yoga happens, it kind of cancels out the benefic qualities of Jupiter in a way, because it's eclipsed by Rahu, who's known as a demon in Vedic astrology. So Jupiter is the planet of expansion, and then Rahu is also the planet of exaggeration and expansion. So when these two intense planetary energies join together, it's just this like intense energy burst, and it's happening in the sign of Aries, which is the sign of conflict. It's the sign of the god of war. So this is a really intense energy, but it also represents new birth and new beginnings in a lot of ways too. So if we want to think about this as, the destruction of the old so that we can usher in a new beginning, well, we could think about it that way as well. So let me clean up the chart here. I also want to bring up with this chart in particular, you'll notice that the lagna of this chart, and I just picked a random time, but the lagna for this chart is Scorpio on June 4th. And what's important to note is that this is the same chart as the Scorpio is USA chart is Scorpio, and also the Biden chart is also Scorpio. So when we're talking about the Guru Chandel yoga, it's happening in the 6th house of Aries. The 6th house, again, this is like exaggerating the sense of conflict. 6th house can also represent debt. So recently they talked about the debt ceiling, and I think they recently came to a compromise on it, but we may still see some sort of financial fallout in the month of June. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit more with another transit that's going to be occurring in June. But I feel like we could see some sort of catalyst event, some sort of escalatory event, catalyst event with the Guru Chandel yoga happening in the month of June, which could trigger an economic situation. Okay. Now, essentially, many of you are aware we're already, in a lot of ways, in an economic crisis at the moment. I mean, there's a lot of people that they can't afford housing, they can't afford food is becoming more and more out of reach for people around the world. So we're already in a slow economic kind of meltdown in a lot of ways, because people are finding the income disparities are becoming larger and larger. The cost of living, it's becoming very difficult. People are finding that they need, 2 jobs, 3 jobs just to get by. So we already know that, whatever's rearing its ugly head is kind of like, we're kind of expecting it, aren't we? We're kind of expecting. So the planetary transits are supporting this. So let's go back to the chart. So Guru Chandel Yoga, that's bringing in that explosive energy in the 6th house of Aries in the USA chart, but that's affecting the world, right? Because if the USA, if there's financial problems in, say, Wall Street, it's going to affect the world, just like 2008 did. Okay. So June 4th, I want you to write down a couple of dates. So June 4th, mark that on your calendar. And also mark down, let's see, June 17th. These are going to be 2 important dates to watch out for. And when I'm giving you these dates, it could be around, give or take a day or two, but there could be some important events that happen around June 4th, could be June 5th, 6th, or 17th, 18th, 19th. You want to make sure around those timeframes, there could be some interesting events. Now, I'm not saying, stay inside your house or anything like that, but there could be some interesting events where you're going to see things happening in the news headlines around that time. Okay. So let me clean up the chart. Now, June 4th, what's happening? Remember, this is the chart of June 4th, is Mercury is going to be conjunct Uranus in the 6th house again. So it's like we've already have this mega intense energy with the Guru Chandel Yoga. Now we have Mercury and Uranus. Okay. Well, Mercury, it's the natural 3rd and 6th house. In the natural zodiac, it's the 3rd lord, it's the 6th lord, which is, considered a malefic planet. So when we're thinking about financial issues and then getting in contact with Uranus, which again is another intense energy, this could suggest some sort of difficulties in the financial sector in around June 4th, okay, or at least in the month of June. The other thing I want to bring up is then Mercury is going to be entering the sign of Taurus. Okay, that's going to be between June 7th, and that's going to be till June 24th. And Taurus is the natural 2nd house, okay, in the natural zodiac. So again, this could be suggesting, because Mercury is the natural 6th lord and it's going into the natural 2nd house. Again, we could be seeing some difficulty, especially in like real estate prices and different financial assets. Okay, we could see some difficulty there. So there could be some sort of trigger event, which is causing some sort of financial issues, financial markets. Okay. The other event I want to bring up is when Saturn goes retrograde. So Saturn has been in the sign of Aquarius since January, and it's been moving forward. But on June 17th, which I told you to mark on your calendars, it's going to be going retrograde. Okay. Now, any of you that have been following me, I always have noticed, and since I've been doing this for a few years now, I had a YouTube channel doing astrology. I've noticed that anytime Saturn either changes a sign or it changes direction, as in it goes direct or retrograde, there's usually some important events that happen around that time, because what Saturn represents is major karmic events, major karmic releases. Okay. So let's discuss that, because Saturn's going to be going backwards in the sign of Aquarius, which is the natural 11th house. And if you watch some of my video on Saturn in Aquarius, you know that Aquarius is the natural 11th house. And the 11th house, again, it represents stock market. It represents finances. It represents the everyman. It represents the masses. Okay. So I feel like there's a financial crisis or something along that between June 17th and November 4th. Okay. Which it's not going to receive resolution till it goes direct November 4th. So when Saturn goes retrograde, it's retrograde for quite a long time. So it's going to be retrograde pretty much all summer. Okay. And then in fall, it's going to go direct again. That's when we're going to start seeing some solutions being brought to whatever crisis Saturn is bringing. When Saturn goes retrograde, typically we see a crisis. And that's why Saturn's going retrograde. It's like Saturn's having to go back in time to correct something that wasn't corrected. So we're likely to see some sort of event happen, and it's going to be something that's going to be numerous attempts to correct. And usually within 2 or 3 attempts, the correction takes place. Okay. And the correction will be by November 4th. Okay. But we're still going to be in this Aquarius transit till March of 2025. So we're not going to see the full correction, but we might see it to the more recent crisis. Okay. But there's going to be a lot of changes in finances, because there's been a lot of problems around the world. Like I said earlier, with people's cost of living, people can't afford housing. Uh, People are having more difficulty purchasing food. And this is a worldwide phenomenon. So, I'm talking to people from not only the United States, but all over the world. So people in Europe, people in Australia, people in Asia, people are telling me that the cost of living is getting extremely difficult right now. And this is around the world. So we're going to be seeing some sort of difficulty there. We know that the Federal Reserve has been raising the interest rates, and it looks like, I mean, we're making an assumption. It looks like they're holding to that course because they're trying to rein in the inflation. So I'm seeing a difficult catalyst event, something that's bringing in, because we're having these powerful energies, and Saturn going retrograde is telling me that we're in June is when we're going to see the beginnings of this event. We're going to see the escalation. We're going to start seeing the dominoes fall. We're going to be seeing the problem set. I'm going to be making another video on Saturn retrograde for all 12 signs so that you can see how it's going to influence you on a more personal level. But on a worldwide level, I feel like we're going to see some sort of event, and it's going to trigger some financial difficulties. So thank you so much for watching. I do feel like this is going to be a just an intense month. So make sure that you are taking care of yourself. Now, Mars is going to be in the sign of Cancer for the month of June, and Mars is debilitated in Cancer. So this could show a lot of difficult emotions people are having, since Cancer, really represents our emotions. And then Mars being debilitated, it's like there's not this outlet for these difficult emotions. So it could show that on a more personal level, people could be having, there could be a lot of hot heads this month. So be careful and take care of yourselves. Let me know what you think down below in the comments, and I will see you in the next video. Until then, take care.